What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Simpli-Fly, where we're breaking down the ACS piece by piece every single day until we have the entire thing done. I'm Garrett, a flight instructor, and today we're going over Task A, Part 5, or PA.I.A.K5, or Part 68, BasicMed Privileges and Limitations. So right off the bat, you might notice the whiteboard doesn't have regulations from Part 68. We've got Part 61 and Part 61. And that's because I want you to just keep in mind of the title, take a closer look at it. Part 68 BasicMed. I want you to just imagine there's a comma right there. And it's as if it's saying Part 68 BasicMed. That's the thing. And we're talking about its privileges and limitations. Now we're going to go over some of the stuff that Part 68 says, but when it comes to the nuts and bolts of what you're going to be talking about in your check ride, it's the information found in 61.113 and 61.23. But before we get into those, let's just talk about what even is BasicMed. Essentially, all BasicMed is a way for those who can't get a medical certificate to still be able to fly. This could be for a number of different reasons, usually because of some condition that is disqualifying for regular medical, but isn't disqualifying for BasicMed. We're not going to get into all the disqualifying conditions here because the video would be very long. And one of the main differences between getting a regular medical certificate and BasicMed privileges is that you don't have to go to an AME to get your BasicMed privileges. Instead, you can just go to a state licensed physician, so it can just be your family doctor that you've already been using for a while. And there's a few other criteria, and they're laid out in 61.23, so we're going to cover that first. So if you want to exercise the privileges of BasicMed, you must comply with the limitations on your driver's license first of all. As in, if your driver's license says that you need to wear glasses while driving, then you also need to wear glasses while flying. The next thing you need is to have held a medical certificate after the date July 14th, 2006. If you've never had a medical since then you don't qualify for BasicMed. Next thing you need to do is complete the medical education course laid out in 68.3. And this needs to be completed every 24 calendar months. The next thing you have to do is what we talked about earlier, and that's that comprehensive medical examination that can be done by a state licensed physician. And the rules for that are laid out in 68.5. Now there's a couple different options for people that are actually trying to go this route, and I would advise those of you that are interested in that to check out 68.5 for yourself. As for the information that's going to possibly be discussed in your check ride, what it boils down to is that state licensed physician has to give the comprehensive medical examination based on a checklist which is laid out in 68.7. Alright, that's all been what you have to do to get your BasicMed privileges, but your most recent medical certificate, one, cannot have been suspended or revoked, but it can have been expired. And number two, the most recent application for a medical certificate cannot have been completed, submitted, and then denied. Alright, so given all those conditions, you can qualify for the privileges of BasicMed. So what are the actual privileges and limitations of BasicMed? This is the substance of the lesson here. This is mostly what you're going to be getting asked about in your check ride. 61.113 lays it out for us. I don't have it written here, but BasicMed gives you the privilege of flying without a medical certificate. Next thing you have a privilege of is flying an aircraft that's rated to carry up to 6 occupants. The limitation there is that that's the max. You can only fly airplanes that carry up to 6 people, including yourself, meaning only 5 passengers. This also means that you can't take a 6 occupant plane and jam 10 people into it, but you're still just flying a 6 occupant plane. You can only have 6 occupants and you can only have 6 occupants in it. Your next privilege and limitation is that you can fly aircraft up to a max takeoff weight of 6,000 pounds. Next is that if you're operating under BasicMed, you cannot go into Class Alpha or Flight Level 180 or 18,000 feet high. Next is that you're not allowed to leave the country. You can't fly outside of the US. In the regulation, it says that you can't fly outside the US unless approved by the administrator, the FAA, but getting approval for something like that is beyond the pay grade of this video. So The next limitation is that you cannot go in excess of 250 knots indicated airspeed. Alright, and lastly here, also laid out in 61.113, is that if you want to operate and exercise the privileges of BasicMed, then while you're flying, in your logbook you have to keep with you a completed medical exam checklist, the one we talked about earlier, as well as a certificate of course completion, that online course discussed earlier. Both of those things printed out in the logbook and you're good to go for BasicMed. And that's going to be it for today's video, as well as Task A. So we're already through Task A, guys. Next is going to be Task B. Planning on coming out with the first video for Task B tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. If you enjoyed today's video or it helped you out a little bit, please like and subscribe, as we're posting these every single day. And we want YouTube to get this out to other student pilots so that all of you can have this information broken down categorically and simply so that you can talk about it confidently in your check ride. Alright guys, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.